So this is part 2 of the CGP paper, Foundation, Set 2, Paper 2. Previous one is already on the YouTube channel, part 1. This is part 2, and we're starting at question 15. Dad is going on holiday to Florida. She changes £450 into US dollars, so she has £450. Each pound is worth $1.43, and you put that into your calculator. 450 multiplied by 1.43 gives us 643.5, and in dollars that's 643.50 cents. She buys 2 t-shirts. Add those two together. 17.2 plus 9.2 equals 26.40. So that's the amount of dollars. Make sure you're clear about what the units are. Total, give your answer to the nearest penny. So what's the total cost of t-shirts and sunglasses? This is it in dollars. And to get from dollars to pounds, we now need to divide. So we take our 2640 and we divide by 1.43. To get from pounds to dollars, we multiply. To get from dollars to pounds, we divide. And we do it to the nearest penny, which is here, 46. We don't have to round it up. Question 16. So first term, second term, third term. Second term is 14. We add 4. So we add 4. The third term will be 14 add 4, which gets us to 18. And then to get to the first term, we're actually going to subtract 4. So the other way around, we have to subtract 4 to get to 10. What's the nth term of the sequence? Well, the fact that we're adding 4 means that we'll have 4n in here. If we substituted 1 in here for the n, we would end up with 4, 8 and 12. What do we do to get from the 4 to the 10? Well, we have to add 6. To get from the 8 to the 14, we add 6. To get from the 12 to the 18, we add 6. So the nth term is 4n plus 6. Okay, all of these coordinates are on this diagram here. M is the midpoint of A and B. So I've got a line here. M is the midpoint. This point here is 4, 6. The x coordinate is 4. The y coordinate is 6. B here, -2, 8. So what we're doing is we're looking for the midway point between the 8 and the 6, and the midway point between the -2 and the 4. So the midpoint, the coordinate are halfway between -2 and 4. Now we can find the mean of those two numbers. -2 plus 4 divided by 2. So this is 4, 5, 6 divided by 2 is 3. The x is 3. And we do the same with the 8 plus 6 divided by 2 is 14. Divided by 2 gives us 7. The midpoint of CD is 5, 1. What are the coordinates? So we've got another line here. I'm going to draw it out again. Midpoint is 5, 1. We've got C down here, which is 2, -4. And we have a point up here, which we don't know is an x, y at D. So what do we do to get from this x to this x here? Well, we add 3. So if we've added 3, to get from the x's, we have to add another 3 to get from here. So the x coordinate is going to be 8. What have we done to go from -4 to 1? Well, we've added 5. So because we've added 5 here, we're adding 5 here. 1 plus 5 is 6. So the answer is 8. Make sure you've got the brackets in there. It's not a coordinate unless you've got the brackets on there too. Right, we need the formula, the area of a circle. Formula equals pi r squared, where this here is the radius, this is our r. So if we know that the area of a circle, we're told it's 16 pi, just leave it with the pi, don't cancel the pi out, don't divide the pi out, don't leave the pi as it's on its own for now. 16 pi, area of a circle is 16 pi, so what's the radius? Well, we know that we've got 16 pi here. We have to make sure that this is 16 pi as well. The way that we do that is we find out what the square root of 16 is, which gives us what the number here needs to be instead of the r. This means that we need 4 squared, which would get us to the 16, and therefore the radius is 4 centimetres. We then need the circumference of the circle. Pi r. We know what r is. R is 4. 2 multiplied by pi multiplied by 4 gives us 8 pi. We just leave the pi alone, so it's 8 pi. We're told, give your answer in terms of pi. I've left it as 8 pi. Yes, there are letters in this question. However, we're asked for the median. What do we do when we find the median? Well, we have numbers lined up in numerical or in ascending order. They are already plus 1, plus 2, plus 3, plus 9. What's the median? Well, we cross off the numbers to find the one in the middle. Oh, n plus 2 is our median term in terms of n. What's the mean? Well, this one we have to, what do we do with the mean? Well, we have to add up all of our numbers, all of our terms, and then we divide by the total number of terms. So if we add all of our terms, n plus 1 plus n plus 2 plus n plus 3 plus, you've guessed it, n plus 9. And we're going to divide all of that by 1, 2, 3, 4. We have 5 terms. Now we need to simplify. How many n's? Well, this is 1n. It's got an invisible 1 in front of it. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 lots of n. 1 plus 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6 plus 9 is 15. All divided by 5. And then we need to simplify this. If whatever we divide we can take a factor out on the top. We can factorise this. We can divide top and bottom by 5, which means that we divide each of the terms. So this I would say is probably the trickiest bit to work out what you do at this point here. You would get, it's 3 marks. You would get 2 marks for getting to this point here. If you can work out that you can factorise this, and then you can divide 5 by 5 to make 1, you end up with n plus 3. Mathematicians like it when you get a really complex looking equation and it drops out to be something very simple. This will give you 3 marks. And then we are actually factorising down here as well. So what we're doing, we're looking at for the highest common factor. Factorise means put into brackets. So we're going to put into brackets. What's the highest common factor? 12 and 3. The highest common factor of 12 and 3 is 3. Ooh, and we need to take an x out as well. Highest common factor of x squared and x is x. What do we do to get back up to 12 from 3? We multiply it by 4. What do we do to get to x squared with x? We multiply it by x. And 3x is already here, so we're just multiplying that by 1. So that's the answer, 3x, 4x plus 1. Fully factorise this. This is a quadratic. It means we're putting into 2 brackets. Lots of different ways of doing this. I'm going to start by working out what the factors of 24 are. Number 5 and 6 is there. So these are all the factors of 24. I need two factors that multiply together to make 24, but they need to add together to make 11. It's all adds, and my 8 and my 3 add together to make 11. So therefore I'm just simply going to put them into brackets like this, and that's the answer. All adds there, makes it very simple for putting in brackets. Right, we're enlarging it using a scale factor of 3, and -7, which is your x, -7 and 1 as the centre of enlargement. So what we've got there, this is our centre of enlargement here. We need to multiply it by a factor of 3 using that. Now I'm going to use a ruler and draw carefully my array lines. I'm going to do them with pencil, just in case I get them wrong the first time. So you can see here I'm going across 4 and down 1, across 4 and down 1. So I'm going to lay my across 4 and down 1. I'm going to draw a array line along here. I'll do the same here. Across 4 up 1, across 4 up 1, across 4 up 1. How's that looking? And then I'm taking this length here, using scale -7, 1, 2, 3. Now this is length 2. We need to find a length 6. 1, 2, 3. This gives us the length 6 on a vertical. This was one lot of across 1, across 4 up 1, across 4 up 1, across 4 up 1. So that's 1 set, 2 sets and 3 sets. That's the scale factor, gets us up to here. We then can take this line across here and along here, and we now have a shape that's been increased by a factor of 3. I'm going to draw it in a little bit darker for you. And we have to label it B. Don't get the marks if you don't get full marks if you don't do what the question says. Label the transform shape B. Question 2. Cube A and cube B are shown below. Volume of cube A, volume of cube B is in the ratio 3 to 2. So the first thing I'm going to do is work out what the volume is of B. Formula for the volume is we take the 3 different dimensions. It's a cuboid, we know that, and we multiply them together, and we've got a calculator. So 9 multiplied by 12 multiplied by 12.5 equals. And then we know that the volume of cube A is in proportion to the volume of B, and this is a cube. This is important later on, and this is a cuboid. And we know that it's in the ratio of 3 to 2. So we can say that there are 2 boxes here, and there are 3 boxes here. We know that the volume of cuboid B is 1350, so the total of this is 1350. So which is, if these two are equal sized boxes, which is what we use when we're looking at ratio, how much is in each box? Well, we take our 1350 and we divide it by 2. 1350 and we divide it by 2. 675. That's 1350 divided by 2. I use the answer button there. So each of those is 675. 675 plus 675 is 1350. And the same happens here. We've drawn 3 boxes here because there are the same boxes, same sized boxes. If we have 2 boxes here, we have 3 boxes here. If each of these boxes is 675, and we take 675 and we multiply it by 3, gives us 675 multiplied by 3 gives us 2025, and that means the volume of our cube is this centimetres cubed. This is our volume, and the way to find out, because each of the dimensions of a cube are exactly the same, this length is x, but this length is x, and this length is x, because we are talking about a cube. Really important. That means the volume of our cube is x multiplied by x multiplied by x. It's this, x multiplied by x multiplied by x. When we worked out the volume of the cuboid, we took this, multiplied by this, multiplied by this. And in this case, we don't know what the value is yet, but we know that they're all going to be the same. So x multiplied by x multiplied by x is the same as x cubed. Not 3 cubed, not 3x, it is x cubed. X cubed is the same as, we know the volume here, 2025, and therefore to do the inverse of cubing, we have to cube root. So x equals, we have to cube root. Now this is the with a little 3, 2025, and on your calculator, if you, mine, I have a special shift button that actually has, if I click shift, it puts the 3 on there. Some of you may need to put that 3 in there and use your arrow keys, but then I can put in the number 2025, gives us 2025 equals 12.651489, and it says to 2 decimal places, so I'm going to be rounding it here, 12.65 centimetres. Question 23. Xander has shoe size X and Jan has shoe size Y. The sum of their shoe sizes is 17. So if we know that the sum is the 2 shoe sizes added together equals 17. Write in terms of X and Y 2 equations show the information given in points A and B. Okay, so that's that. X plus Y equals 17. Jan has a larger shoe size than Xander, and the difference in their shoe sizes is 6. Difference means you take one away from the other. Jan has a larger shoe size than Xander. The difference between these two numbers is 6. This is us forming an equation, and it clearly states what you need to do to form them. Read it through, work it through, takes you down to these 2 equations. This bit's a little trickier. We've got to, on the axis, draw graphs to show these 2 equations. You've got a number of ways you can do this. Remember that you can create a table. So if we're looking at x, it equals, we're going 1, in fact we've got 0, 2, 4 and 6 for instance, because on this table here we've got 2, 4, 6 up to 20. And then if we rearrange this equation, so we've got x on its own or y on its own. So to make this easier to do, we're going to rearrange them so that we end up with, we're going to subtract x from both sides here, y equals 17, subtract x, and here we've got y, we're going to add x to both sides, equals x plus 6. If you substitute in the 2 ways of doing this. One, you could substitute in x's here, so when x is 0, then y is 17. When x is 2, y equals 15. When x is 4, y equals 13. When x is 6, y equals 11, and then you could plot those. So when x is 0, y is 17. When x is 2, y is 15. And so this is that line. We're we label it, this is x plus y equals 17. And then the other way of doing it is to look at it as y equals mx plus c, where m is the gradient and c is the y-intercept. So c here is where it crosses the y-axis, which is 6, and then it goes up with a gradient of 1. But you can do it as a table, or you can create it in this way, either way you want to do it. Y subtract x equals 6. By using a graph, find Xander and Jan's shoe size. Well, it's the point where it crosses. So the point where it crosses gives us the x-axis, which is point where it crosses is 5.5. 5.5 is Xander's shoe size, and the y-axis is Jan's, and that's at 11.5. So if you can't see that easily, you take this down to here, and that gives you your 5.5 on the x-axis, which is Xander, and then across to Jan here, which is your 11.5. And this is your 5.5. And the last question, 24. In rectangle ABCD, right, so what we're looking at is Pythagoras and trigonometry. Pythagoras theorem to start with. We've got a triangle. We want to find BD. We know that this will be 8 centimetres and this will be 4 centimetres. So I'm going to draw, this triangle here. This is C, this is B, this is D, this is a right angle, this is 4, and this is 8 centimetres. Pythagoras, we've got H here. I'm going to call this a little a and this a little b. A squared plus b squared equals h squared, 4 squared. Use calculator. 4 squared plus 8 squared equals 80. And then the square root of 80 equals h, 1 decimal place. So square root of the answer is 4. Let's do it this way. H equals 8.9442791 exactly. And then we wanted a 1 decimal place, which is here, which is 8.9 centimetres. We do the same here. CBD, it's the angle that is drawn here. So we draw this triangle out again. B, C and D. Here's the angle. Haha. Better you see it. There we go. So we know this is 4 and we know this is 8. Stick to the lengths that we know. Don't play with the other one, because these are the ones that are in the question. We could have created an error here. We don't want to use that same error down here, so I'm going to use these two. I'm going to label it. This is still my H, but this time this is my angle, so this one is my adjacent and this one is my opposite. What am I looking at? Well, I'm looking at my opposite and adjacent with my tan. This is my TOA. Remember, TOA. This is our TOA triangle we're looking for. We're trying to find out what this angle is. That's the T. So T equals opposite over adjacent. Tan of my angle, I'm going to call it X, equals opposite, which is my 8, divided by my A, which means my tan is 2. I need to do the inverse, so I need to do tan inverse of 2. I need to put that into my calculator. So inverse of my tan, I use my shift button, and in brackets I need to put the 2, close the brackets, and that gives me X equals 63.434948882 to the nearest degree. So 63 is the nearest degree. Do we need to round it up? No, we don't, so we're just looking at 63 degrees. And that's it. Mark your paper out of 80.